And last but not least, we will, just checking that you're awake, we will also work towards a Baltic Sea strategy. This is an important thing that we hope can materialize later this autumn. Almost a quarter of the EU citizens, around 1 million citizens, are affected by the sensitive environment of the Baltic Sea. And this requires a concerted European effort. A Baltic Sea strategy, and the Commission is working on one to be presented in May or in June, will address regional challenges around the Baltic Sea, mainly to the environment, but also to the competitiveness in this area, and using the EU as an important tool. I think this would be very important and can also serve as a model for other macro regions and maritime environments all over the EU. So these are one very important set of priorities. As you know, just reading the papers, you can't avoid it. The world experiences probably one of its worst economic crises since the 30s. We don't know if it's going up or if it's getting worse or what will happen the next month. But Europe has, despite this, proven to be quite strong and unified, acting decisively to the current situation. And that inspires hope in times of uncertainty and economic unrest. So the second set of priorities, of course, is related to jobs, growth, competitiveness. I'm convinced that our future economic development in Europe will depend on how we together can shape better conditions to respond successfully to the opportunities and challenges that the world and the markets put to us. If we make the right economic reforms now, we can secure a prosperous, fair and environmentally sustainable future for Europe. To ensure this, we need open markets. We need markets allowing money and people to move from declining into growing industries. We need to devote resources to research, innovation, better education, training systems. We need an open global trading system, because protectionism can never make Europe wealthier. We will gain nothing by trying to keep the doors shut, and gain nothing from trying to isolate our economies from globalization. To my mind, we also need a strategy with a stronger focus on how to strengthen Europe's competitiveness globally while transforming our internal markets and coping with an aging population. That calls for a new policy for research and innovation, and we hope to lay the foundations for a renewed strategy, a post-Lisbon strategy for the future. And the focus will be on the 2010s to the 2020s. We will press forward to work and further develop the internal market, exploiting the Services Directive's growth potential, which will hopefully be in place by December. And we will work further to reduce the administrative burden of work for better regulation for companies all over Europe. We will put the job creation high on the EU agenda and intensify the discussions of the reform needed, both on national and EU level, to overcome labour market exclusion and increase participation and labour supply in a time of an ageing population. And we must also work together to adapt the EU budget to new demands and priorities, better reflecting today's objective of the Union, and explore the true value of common action. Comprehensive reforms and reprioritization of expenditures will be necessary on the basis of subsidiarity, proportionality and sound financial management. And this is, of course, an ongoing process. It's not something that we will solve or conclude during our presidency. It's more of the visions or the challenges that we have to tackle. I mentioned aging population, and the challenge we do have to face is how we can ensure greater mobility of people on equal conditions in Europe. Mobility of people from countries outside the EU has by some been seen as a threat to the European security. And our efforts have too much been focused on the fight against terrorism, on cross-border crime and illegal immigration. And these issues are, of course, extremely important, but sometimes there's a tendency also to put all migration issues under the same label and to make people who come seek asylum or to want to come and work in Europe as a problem, as a cross-border crime problem. And it is not. It is something totally different. We need to look at mobility as an opportunity, and we need to find ways to guarantee individual legal rights. And we must avoid building closed walls along the borders of Europe. Today, Europe is absorbing around 2 million migrants a year. And the United Nations estimate that this could increase by 40% the next 40 years. This is, of course, based on a lot of tragic events in the world, which we will have to try to work together with other partners in order to increase living conditions in other countries and improve them. But it is also, in a way, good news, because one of EU's core problem is decreasing productivity. Our aging population is, despite of the growing unemployment right now, a long-term problem that we have to face. We have a declining working force in all countries. And fewer people in the working force will have to support a growing number of elderly people dependable on social services. So we need more people working. Despite this, some member states still perceive migration as a problem rather than an opportunity. And this is something that we hope we can work on during our presidency with others. We hope that we can adopt a new 5-year program. The so-called Hague program is running out in the fall, and we hope to update that to a new 5-year program, maybe calling it the Stockholm program. And we hope that it could be broad and forward-looking and include a balance between coercive and legal rights measures. And in that, possibly develop, if the new treaty comes into place as well, a common migration policy based on effective, balanced and coordinated approach. We strive to improve the policy coherence between migration and development. We must create a common European asylum system and to harmonise the area further to maintain long-term sustainability in our asylum systems. And of course, we must continue and intensify the fight against cross-border crimes all over the continent. Trafficking in human beings, illicit drugs, these are a common problem that demands common solutions. So I think the police authorities need and must be given better tools, for example, through better exchange of information. And in all this, we must have a citizen's perspective and to make sure that individual legal rights in criminal proceedings are guaranteed. A fourth set of priorities, which is not a set, it's the rest of the world, is of course the EU in the world, environment, the global order, the enlargement rather, the global order. I would argue that the fifth enlargement of the European Union has been one of the most significant achievements of European integration. It has confirmed, and history will prove us right, the success of the European model of cooperation, and it has generally contributed to peace and stability all over our continent. Therefore, from a Swedish perspective, we think that this development should continue. We have a strong interest in a future membership of Turkey. It will be the culmination of a long process of European modernization for the country, including a deepening of the democratic system and full respect of human rights. Turkish membership, although I know that there are many years still to go, lots of work to be done, but it would also improve prospects of stability in the whole region. Enlargement as a whole has contributed to economic dynamism, demographic vigor, and cultural diversity to Europe. And this is why we need to keep our doors open to those European countries interested in membership and, of course, still maintaining the conditionality. This is important, especially for the Balkan regions, and we do support the European ambitions of Bosnia, Serbia, Albania, Montenegro. And of course, as a Swede, I would welcome a possible application for membership from Iceland later this spring. And who knows, maybe Norway one day. This is why we need to keep these options open.